Agenia Heights resident Cynthia Sablon believes it's time to raise the minimum wage and supports Bill 316.
I think it's due, and I think it's good for those people that have been working really hard to make ends meet.
Tonight, the public will have the chance to speak on the measure during the first of 3 hearings at the Guam legislature. Bill 316, introduced by Vice Speaker B.J. Cruz, would raise the minimum wage by 95 cents over the next 3 years, capped at $10.10 by the year 2017.
We got to remember that there's a lot of people that are hurting out there, and that the richer only gets richer, and we have to do it. It's time to just give these people an opportunity to gain more money for their family.
However, not everyone is sold on the idea.
I think it's a bit much, don't you think?
Tumaning resident Tina Diaz says the proposal needs to have a balanced approach.
But I think businesses should be able to get some compensation on the wage, whether it's a tax break or because it's really difficult as a business owner to, keep that minimum wage, and if you're, the economy and everything. So we got to find a way to at least give the business owners or the employers an opportunity to transition into that.
It was last week when Senator Chris Duenas and the Republican minority announced plans to introduce a companion measure to the minimum wage bill that aims to provide that balanced approach. Bill 323, introduced on Monday, would reduce the business privilege tax rate to 3.8%, along with increasing certain business privilege tax exemptions from 40% to 75%. For others like Bank Pacific President and CEO Phil Flores, he's opposed to both proposals.
I don't agree with the wage increase. I think the market should set that. I also don't agree with the GRT decrease. I don't think that government can afford that in the long run.
Flores believes the minimum wage measure is an election year ploy to get votes. But politics aside, Flores says the minimum wage was never meant to be a living wage.
You're not going to raise somebody's wage by $1, $2 and expect that all of a sudden they're going to be taken out of poverty. If that's the reason, make it $25 an hour. I mean, at what point do you say stop? And also, again, the minimum wage. Many of those earning minimum wage make more than that when you include the benefits they get. Many of them get medical benefits. Many of them get paid holidays. They all get part of their FICA paid by their employer. So there's nobody at $7.25 an hour.
So what does Flores suggest instead?
Just leave it alone, because the market will take care of itself. You will always have people impoverished.
Flores adds the city with the highest minimum wage is San Francisco, but it's also the city with the highest percentage of homeless people. UOG professor of economics Roseanne Jones, meanwhile, was unavailable for an on-camera interview, but tells KUAM that given the economic growth projections and the economic forecast for Guam, she believes it's fine timing for an increase as proposed by this legislation. And for workers like Barragata resident Tareen Keha, she says because the cost of living is high on Guam, she hopes lawmakers will find a way to balance the wage increase without increasing prices.
Because already the cost of living is so high, and then if they raise the minimum wage and then businesses increase their prices as well, it's just going to be like a chain effect, I guess. So it's not really making the minimum wage increase effective.
The public hearing is set for 8 o'clock tonight at the Guam legislature. 2 more hearings are set for next week on April 30th at 2 p.m. and 5:30 p.m. Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Ken Quintaniza.